Hello, scholars. Welcome to our grammar lesson for today. We are today going to practice diagramming some sentences. You will need adverb sheet 3.17 from your grammar packet. It probably is, I believe, the last one in your packet. So the instructions say diagram each of the sentences in the space next to the sentence. Remember, it may help to find the core of the sentence first, that subject and verb, and then work with the other words in the sentence. So if you don't have this sheet in front of you, press pause and go grab it from your materials. If you don't have this sheet, it is certainly okay to do the diagramming on a piece of paper with me. Right? And then you can submit a photo of that piece of paper. You can see the sentences right here in the video. That would be fine. All right, sentence number 1, Maurice hiccuped very loudly. Right, so scholars, are going to think for a moment about this sentence. Right? Press pause and try sentence number 1 right now. All right, if you're listening again, it means you paused and diagrammed that sentence, and now you're ready to check it with me. I'm going to start, of course, with the core, looking for that verb, right? What action is happening? Did you write hiccuped? And then scholars, you're thinking who or what hiccuped? Right, Maurice. So scholars, we've used Maurice and we've used hiccuped. So we have very and loudly left. Think hiccuped how? Did you write loudly on the slant under hiccuped? Right? We don't know if Maurice is loud. We know the hiccup was loud. So loudly is an adverb describing the verb hiccuped. Now we have the word very. Think, scholars, how loudly? Right, very loudly. So very is actually going to hook to loudly. Right, that arm hooking to loudly. So very is an adverb describing an adverb. So it hooks to the adverb. You might remember we recently went through a lesson and did some practice with that. All right, ready for sentence number 2 with me? 2 enormous stars twinkled quite brightly. All right, scholars, again, press pause while you work on diagramming that sentence, then we'll check it together. Good luck. All right, if you are listening to my voice right now, it means you have already diagrammed number 2 and you are ready to check it. Prudent students are trying it first. I hope you're being prudent. I'm going to, of course, as always, begin with that core, right? What is verbing, right? What verb is happening? Twinkled. Right, then, scholars, I'm thinking who or what twinkled? Right, stars. Stars twinkled. So we've taken care of the core of our sentence. Stars twinkled. Now I'm going to be thinking about all these other words, right? How they're used in the sentence. There are all these extra details to make this a much more interesting sentence. What kind of stars? Good. Enormous is an adjective describing stars. Right? We don't know if the twinkling was enormous. We know the stars were enormous. Adjective describing a noun. How many stars? Right, 2. So 2 is also an adjective describing stars. We don't know if they twinkled 2 times. We're not going to put 2 under twinkled. 2 tells us how many stars. An adjective describing a noun. All right. Twinkled how? Marvelous. I bet you knew. Brightly was describing twinkled. We have an adverb describing a verb. Twinkled how? Brightly. Now, scholars, how brightly? Oh, quite brightly. So quite, we're going to make that arm off of this adverb to write the adverb quite. We have an adverb describing another adverb. How brightly? Quite brightly. Nice work. So remember, adverbs that describe other adverbs get diagrammed with this arm connecting them. How are you doing? I bet you're doing great. All right, we are up to number 3. I'm going to tell you right now, before we even do number 3, there's a tricky word in here, so be very careful. Remember, if you get it wrong, that's okay. This is growth mindset, right? Learning by practicing. Number 3, suddenly an extremely ugly monster appeared. Pause for a moment. Diagram that sentence. All right, are you ready to check that sentence with me? We're beginning with the core. I always like to start with that core, right? Look for the verbing and then who or what is doing that verbing. So, what is our verb? Appeared. And then who or what appeared? Right, monster. There's our core, everyone. We found the core, the subject and verb. Monster appeared. All the other words just make this a much better, much more interesting, much juicier sentence. Right? Suddenly, an extremely ugly monster appeared. All right. Scholars, what kind of monster? Ugly. Remember, what kind is an adjective question, right? Ugly tells us what kind of monster. It's describing the monster. Now here comes something. Careful. Be sure you're looking at this. How ugly? Aha. Extremely is going to go just like this, everyone. Sorry, that's a little hard to read, perhaps. But we're making an arm off of ugly and then our slant. Extremely is describing ugly. Right? How ugly? Extremely ugly. So we have an adverb describing an adjective. What? Right. I bet, remember, we practiced that in a recent video as well. So now we've taken care of extremely. An. Oh, I'm remembering a and the are special adjectives, right, called articles. And they work as noun markers, like a bookmark saying a noun is coming, a noun is coming. So they get diagrammed under the noun that's coming. An is an an article telling you the noun monster is coming in the sentence. So then, scholars, our last word on this sentence, or in this sentence, is the word suddenly. This one's tricky because it's the first word of the sentence. A lot of times people want to just put it right here. But listen to my question. Appeared when? Suddenly is an adverb describing the verb appeared, giving us detail of when an extremely ugly monster appeared. Right? Appeared when? Suddenly. An adverb describing a verb. All right, we've made it to number 4, scholars. I am going to fold my paper just a little bit so that we can all see number 4 just a little bit better. The perfectly content baby napped peacefully. Scholars, pause again and diagram this sentence. The perfectly content baby napped peacefully. All right, I'm checking in. Do you feel ready for this sentence? If you're still working, remember, you should have pressed pause. Press pause now. Keep working. Prudent students are not continuing until they're ready to check that work. All right. Let's see if you're ready. What verbing is happening? Oh, napped. Who or what napped? Right, baby. Baby napped. That's the core of our sentence. Now, what kind of baby? Good. Content. You know what it means if you're content? Right? You're happy, you're at peace, right? If you're content, right? All is well. Content. But scholars, content describes baby, right? What kind of baby? Content baby. How content? Perfectly content. So scholars, perfectly is our little arm and our slant. Perfectly is an adverb describing an adjective. Perfectly describes content. Right? If we put it under baby, it sounds like the baby is perfect. We don't know that from this sentence. Perfectly describes content. An adverb describing an adjective. All right. What about the? Oh, bing, 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 bing. Can you see that? Remember the articles a and the. Right? Articles are special adjectives whose jobs are noun markers, right? Like bookmarks, saying a noun is coming. So you guessed it. The goes under baby. And that leaves us just the word peacefully. Napped how? Peacefully. Peacefully is an adverb describing the verb napped. Napped how? Peacefully. Wonderful work. How's your practice going, scholars? Remember, if you're having any trouble, it's okay. That's why we're practicing. This is good practice for us. All right. Number 5, it asks you to do on the back of the sheet. A quite sneaky fox tiptoed very quietly earlier. There's a lot of words in this sentence, so scholars, I sure hope you're ready for it with me. All right? So, press pause for a moment so you can see the sentence, and then you're diagramming that sentence. Then we'll check it. All right. Ready to check? I'm flipping my paper over. And I'm ready for this sentence. What is my action, right? What verbing is happening? Did you write tiptoed? Then think who or what tiptoed? Absolutely correct. Fox. There's our core. Fox tiptoed. So scholars, this sentence is much more interesting than just fox tiptoed, right? A quite sneaky fox tiptoed very quietly earlier. So we have a lot of other words to take care of in this sentence. So, what kind of fox? Go back to that sentence. What kind of fox was it? Right, sneaky. Then scholars, sneaky is an adjective describing fox, right, telling us what kind of fox. How sneaky is that fox? How sneaky? Quite sneaky. So quite, we need the arm. Quite describes sneaky. An adverb describing an adjective. Quite sneaky. All right. And then what about the A? Right? Oh, I'm remembering the articles A and the are noun markers telling you a noun is coming in the sentence. So a quite sneaky fox tiptoed. Tiptoed when? Earlier. It tells when the fox tiptoed. An adverb describing a verb. Tiptoed how? Quietly. So scholars, this one has both of these describing tiptoed. So we don't need an arm. Each of them just connects to tiptoed. They're both adverbs describing the verb tiptoed. Right? Tiptoed when? Earlier. Tiptoed how? Quietly. So be careful on that. Right? Just because we've now added the idea of making this arm doesn't mean everything's going to do that. That's why I put this one in, just so we had that little extra practice. Now, scholars, remember, you want to take a photo of your work and submit that when you click Turn It In, so that your teachers can see that you practiced this this sheet and these sentences. And scholars, thanks for joining me as we practiced a little bit more diagramming today. Nice practice.